All right, section 1, the cybernetic blueprint, where we start viewing the mind as a biological architecture. Our core framework here establishes that your internal world actually operates like this incredibly precise clockwork mechanism, and it's designed to accelerate your physical adaptation. I mean, think about how you treat your smartphone, right? When an app keeps crashing, you don't just take a hammer to the screen. The hardware isn't the problem. You download a software update. Well, the sources refer to human consciousness in a very similar way. It's a biosymbolic software suite. For decades, the personal development space has taught us to just kind of wait around for some erratic, spontaneous spiritual awakening, basically hoping lightning strikes our minds. But this cybernetic approach, it changes the paradigm entirely. It allows you to systematically diagnose energetic blockages and consciously reprogram your reality from the inside out. By treating your physical body as a prime vessel, you are literally anchoring high-frequency spiritual and psychological currents into tangible, everyday action. You aren't fixing broken hardware. You are meticulously updating the software of your own consciousness.
Moving on to section 2, the inner trinity, where we look at the 3 primary operators.
To actually operate this machinery effectively, we've got to unpack the psychology of how your mind processes reality. This is what the system calls the Trinity of Knowing. So first, your soul acts as your deep memory archive. It communicates through what we call inner standing, which is basically your raw, lived emotional truth. Then you have the spirit, and that's the kinetic actuator. It operates on understanding, the cold, logical, step-by-step mechanics of cause and effect out there in the real world. Let's ground this in a relatable psychological scenario. Imagine you're tempted to reach out to a highly toxic ex-partner. Your spirit, your logic, clearly understands that this person is bad news, right? Simple cause and effect. But your soul, that emotional archive, feels a deep pang of loneliness and craves comfort. This right here is where most of us get stuck in an endless loop of internal conflict. And that is exactly why you need the third operator, the self. The self sits at the throne, utilizing overstanding to perceive the grand, big-picture pattern of existence. It acts as the ultimate mediator, bridging that gap between your emotional truth and your logical reality, bringing all 3 processing phases into perfect, synchronized unison.
Next up is section 3, the 3 inner guardians, your psychological protectors. Now this brings us to the system's firewall, and this is where the most profound psychology behind inner mastery really takes center stage. Think back to when you were a kid. The world was massive, it was chaotic, and honestly, often super overwhelming. Your developing psyche just didn't have the tools to process complex trauma or social rejection. So what did it do? It built ancient psychological firewalls to protect your vulnerable core. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that to master your inner world, you cannot fight these guardians. Instead, you have to honor them and actually relieve them of their duties. They aren't demons you need to exorcise. They're just exhausted, fiercely loyal sentries that took on the heavy burden of protecting you when you were too small to navigate the world alone. Now, as an adult, you're no longer small, but these guardians, they are still frantically fighting a war that ended decades ago. So to walk the path of true self-discovery, you have to meet them at the gates, understand exactly what they're guarding, and consciously upgrade their roles. The very first guardian standing at the gate is fear. Fear is basically your nervous system's built-in alarm bell. It alerts you whenever you're entering significant territory. Psychologically speaking, it guards your sensitivity, your personal power, and the deep truth of who you actually are beneath all your societal adaptations. Think about a time you were utterly terrified to speak your truth, maybe setting a boundary with a loved one or speaking up in a high-stakes meeting. That was fear, just trying its best to keep you safe from the pain of rejection. But here is the real secret to mastery. If you fight it, your amygdala literally hijacks your brain. Instead, you have to include fear. You feel the deeper truths bubbling beneath it, things like love or grief or passion. You essentially say to it, hey, thank you for protecting me in an insensitive world, but I'm safe now. Through that simple acknowledgement, this sentry transforms into a much higher state of vigilance. Fear sheds all its panic and beautifully evolves into sacred caution and true discernment. Next up, we meet guilt. Guilt is the ultimate old contract keeper. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, being kicked out of your ancestral tribe literally meant death. So humans are hardwired to crave belonging. Guilt guards that primal need. It strictly enforces old family and societal contracts, often demanding that you completely betray your own boundaries just to maintain the peace and stay in the tribe's good graces. It essentially keeps you small so you can keep belonging. But to achieve inner mastery, you have to update those outdated contracts at the throne. You must realize that as a sovereign adult, your absolute primary obligation is to not abandon yourself. When you consciously choose yourself, you're declaring that you can still love others without sacrificing your own agency. And in that powerful moment of psychological maturity, guilt realizes it no longer needs to make you feel bad to keep you safe, and it naturally transforms into true, sacred loyalty and responsibility. Finally, we face the deepest, most paralyzing firewall of them all, shame. And the distinction here is a classic, vital psychological insight. While guilt tells you that you did something wrong, shame tells you that you are wrong. It whispers that you are fundamentally broken. Shame guards your authentic self, completely hiding your divine spark to protect it from a world that maybe once ridiculed your vulnerability. Because it is the deepest guardian, you cannot outlogic shame. You can't argue with it. It has to be healed through what psychologists call warm reparenting. This means actively talking to and treating that wounded part of yourself with the exact same unconditional warmth, patience, and compassion that a deeply loving adult would give to a frightened child. By generating this profound sense of self-belonging, the guardian finally realizes the threat is over. Shame gently lowers its heavy shield and evolves into honor, a deep, lasting reverence for your own inherent worth and sacred innocence.
All right, moving to Section 4, Manifestation Mechanics, the operational rules of divine law. So with those psychological firewalls relieved and updated, we can finally install the new software. These are the operational rules of divine law that govern exactly how pure potential becomes physical reality. And honestly, it perfectly echoes the foundational principles of cognitive behavioral therapy. It goes like this. Attention acts as the seed, emotion provides the motivational water, and conviction serves as the structural blueprint. Whatever your mind repeatedly focuses its attention on, that directs your energy. Then, the intense weight of your physiological emotions roots that intention deeply into your nervous system. And finally, your stabilized belief, your conviction, gives physical structure to that inner reality. There's this fascinating fact in neuroscience called Hebb's Law, which states that neurons that fire together wire together. So your repeated thoughts, when fueled by strong emotions and steady convictions, literally build new structural protein changes in your physical brain. This isn't just fluffy mysticism, folks. It is the supreme law of manifestation playing out right there in your neurobiology. And that brings us to Section 5, Achieving the Awake Self and Bypassing Our Limits. So how in the world do we actively program this system? We have to explore the interface used to bypass the incredibly slow, highly critical conscious mind. Let's be real, the conscious intellect is often a major roadblock. It is just packed full of doubt, anxiety, and endless overanalysis that totally slows down any real transformation. The sources explain that to bypass these analytical filters, this system uses sigilcraft. Think of a meditation sigil as a psychological flow state trigger. Elite athletes do this all the time. They have highly specific pre-game rituals or visual cues that instantly drop them into a state of peak performance, completely bypassing conscious thought. Well, this works exactly the same way. The symbolic architecture acts like a compiled block of code. By focusing on it, you effortlessly automate the flow of energy. Your brain no longer has to calculate every single exhausting step of transformation. Instead, it instantly converts your conscious willpower into a self-correcting, automatic subconscious program. This visual sequence allows you to perfectly align your intent with eternal purpose, rather than just the fleeting, stressful anxieties of the day. It's a truly profound internal journey. You start at key 0, which is the act of completely dropping all your societal baggage and returning your consciousness to the infinite fullness of pure potential. You literally feel the weight of your daily identity dissolve. Then, you seamlessly move through key 8, entering a state of sacred silence. Psychologically, this is where you actively turn off the biological noise. You know, that constant buzzing of the nervous system and those repetitive trauma loops that keep you stuck playing the past on repeat. It is profound, deep stillness. Finally, having silenced all that chaos, you reach key 13. Here, you establish absolute sovereign creation and a conscious reunion with Source. This is the ultimate transition we're aiming for, moving from a reactive, deeply conditioned sleeping self into a fully intentional, psychologically liberated, awake self. When you finally relieve your inner guardians, you stop being a victim of your psychological past and you become the master architect of your future. It's as simple and as profound as this. The body and reality simply follow what the mind deeply accepts as truth. So take a moment to look around at your life right now. What hidden subconscious truths is your reality currently reflecting? And are you finally ready to rewrite the code?